What is up, everyone? This is Tyler G of Batman Figs on Instagram, and today's Batman animated series episode review is from the new Batman Adventures episode titled Over the Edge. Now, I think every Batman animated series fan has definitely seen this episode. If you haven't, don't even watch this review, just go see it. It's probably, if not the most exciting and thrilling episode of the whole 4 seasons of Batman animated series, then I don't know what is, because from the very second this episode starts, you are drawn in. You're like, what is going on? I remember when I first saw this, when I was a kid, I didn't want to budge. If someone came in and was like trying to talk to me, I was like, ah! And I just like turned it up more. I can't believe how great this episode is. It's still fun to watch. Even though you know what's going on, it's still just a very fun episode. It starts off with us seeing Batman and Robin, Tim Drake, running through the Batcave being fired upon. So right away you're like, what? Then you see Commissioner Gordon and Harvey Bullock and cops, and you're even more confused. You're like, what the heck? And they're firing on them. They're shooting rocket launchers. You see Batman and Robin going for the Batmobile, and Commissioner Gordon just has someone shoot a rocket launcher at the Batmobile. Boom! Batmobile is gone. Then you see them trying to flee down the stairs, but Commissioner Gordon is right on their tail with SWAT. Then you see Renee Montoya coming from the other end, so they're blocked off, and they just jump straight down to the bat boat, bat jet, and after that, they land and they're running toward the boat, and Commissioner Gordon almost shoots them, but Alfred knocks him, and so Alfred gets arrested. And still at this point, you're like, what is going on? Why are they being chased? And so they get in the bat boat, and they're escaping, but a police boat comes up on them, and they're about to blow up the bat boat with a rocket launcher. And then you see their boat get knocked off, like, of course. And you see who did that, and it was Nightwing shooting torpedoes at him on his little, like, ski jet. So you get to see Nightwing too, and he helps them escape. And then so they finally escape, and they're finally free, and so they're hiding in like this cavern, like off the coast of Gotham Bay, and Nightwing is just like, I still don't know what's happening. Basically, tell it like that's all our thoughts, and Batman just says, I'll never forget it. I can still see it as clearly as my parents' murder. And then you get this like eerie music, and we get thrown into a flashback. And we see him saying, we were fighting Scarecrow and his thugs, and then Scarecrow ran, and Barbara went after her, and it shows Batgirl running after him on top of a building, and she gets to the top, and she's coming around the corner, and she sees this figure that she thinks is Scarecrow, so she jumps it, and she sees that it literally is just a Scarecrow, like that Scarecrow put up, and then you see her turn around, and she just gets backhanded by Scarecrow and his like staff, and she goes flying down the roof, and you're literally watching her fall. Like, is she gonna grapple or anything? And you see Tim Drake come up and scream no, and then you see Batman come up and just like he can't believe it, and he just starts punching Scarecrow, and then you get a cut to Jim Gordon and Harvey Bullock on patrol in their car, just driving along, and out of nowhere, just boom, you see Batgirl hit the windshield, and it is brutal for a cartoon. Brutal. I can't believe they got away with this, but then you see her roll off the car onto the street, and Commissioner Gordon's like, oh, are you okay? Like, Harvey, get an ambulance. And then you hear her weakly say, Dad? And then you just see horror change in Commissioner Gordon's face. And he lifts off the mask and just more shocked horror. And he can't believe what he's seeing. And Barbara tries to say something, but she passes, she dies. And then right when she dies, Batman comes down, and it's just somber. And you see Commissioner Gordon holding her in his hands, and you see Batman say, "Jim, I'm sorry." And Commissioner Gordon goes, "How could you? I worked with you, I trusted you, and you didn't tell me?" And you could feel the pain like behind the line that's delivered there, and it is masterfully done. And after that, Batman tries to like approach him to like talk more, but you hear a click and you see Harvey Bullock just like, "Don't make another move, you murderer." And then right when we think Batman's done, Robin throws a batarang, gets the gun out of Harvey Bullock's hand, and he's like, "Come on, Batman." And he's like hanging from a grappling hook. So Batman holds onto his hand, and they go up, and they escape. And Harvey is like going crazy. He's like, "Oh, we need helicopters, we need SWAT." And then Commissioner Gordon just like, "Harvey, we're not going to catch him that way." And so we see the next scene we see is Bruce Wayne, in his study with Alfred and Robin, and they're sitting there like, what happens now? Like, you can just see that they're all like lost. Then you hear a phone call, and you hear Commissioner Gordon, and Bruce Wayne answers it in his Bruce Wayne voice, like, "Oh, Commissioner Gordon, like, what a pleasant," and he's like, "Cut the bull crap, basically. I was on Barbara's computer, and only after 10 minutes I found out everything." And so as an audience member, you're like, what the heck? Like, this is like, I felt like this episode was like, okay, this must be the last episode of Batman, because they are just making everything go to crap. So we see the phone call, and we see that Commissioner Gordon's right outside his house with a battering ram and SWAT. And so they run to the Batcave as like they're banging down on Wayne Manor, bringing the door down. And you see Bruce just look over his shoulder to the portrait of his mom and dad above the fireplace, and just like, "I'm sorry." And that's where we get caught up to what happens when we come to the beginning of the episode, where they're in the Batcave running. So that was him finishing his explanation to Nightwing. And then Tim Drake's like, "So what do we do now?" And Batman just was like, "Meaning we're staying here? We got nowhere to go." And Robin's like, "No way, like, I can't." And Nightwing's like, "No, he's right. I'm going to go to my loft in Bloodhaven, and I'm going to get some stuff, like supplies for us. I have everything we need there." And Batman's like, "Dude, don't. It's not safe." And he's like, "No, don't worry. I'll get there before the cops get there." But remember, Gordon already found out everything. So Nightwing gets there, and right when he jumps down through the window in his loft, he's got Renee Montoya and a full team of SWAT ready, like saying, "Dick Grayson, make one move. Or you have the right to remain silent." And Nightwing just smirks and says, "Waved," and then just starts dominating him. And he escapes through the same window he jumped through. And right when he comes out, though, he's met by 3 helicopters with SWAT. And he gets shot by rubber bullets and apprehended and arrested. But he doesn't give up Batman's identity, or he doesn't give up Batman's whereabouts. The whole public knows at this point that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And so at this point, you're still just like, holy crap. Like, how is this going to get resolved? And then you see Tim Drake, he was watching Nightwing's arrest in his civilian clothes. And he goes back to Batman. He's like, "So, they took Nightwing down to the police station. I think we could, take out the guards, break them out." And Batman's like, "No." I'm like, "No." And then Tim's like, "Well, what do we do? Like, what are we going to do?" And Batman's just like, "Nothing, man. Like, you're done. Like, you can't, I'm going to have to be alone. Like, I don't want you wrapped up in this. Like, you could still be safe, but there's no more. This is over." And you see Tim just sad, and that's the last we see of Tim. So after that, you see a cut of a funeral proceeding, and you see Batgirl's funeral, and you see, the pole people, pole bearers, I think that's what they call. Luckily, I haven't been to too many funerals. But yeah, you see the pole bearers, and they're carrying Barbara's body, and you see SWAT. And they're like looking for Batman. They're like, "Hey, like we haven't seen him." And like threw an earbud in Commissioner Gordon's ear, and Gordon's like, "We'll keep looking. He's here." And then right then you see Batman kind of like peek his head up to like look and like watch the funeral, paying his respects, which he probably shouldn't have done. because almost as soon as he does, SWAT sees him, and from there, like, things go down, and Batman's trying to escape, and he's trying to open a door into a building, and then it just gets kicked out, and you see Batman go flying, and it's Bane. Now, Commissioner Gordon went and made a deal with Bane in the episode as well, and he was basically like, hey, we both want Batman dead, and, you know, they're about to fire me because they think that they thought Gordon had something to do, and he knew about Batgirl, so they think that he was helping Batman in more than he was. So he was about to get fired, and he's like, they haven't fired me yet, but if you do this deal with me where you kill Batman, I'll let you out early. And Bane, of course, agrees. So Bane kicks Batman like through a door, and have a big battle on the rooftop, and Bane's just like, to the death. And then Batman says it doesn't matter anymore, and you could just see Batman just, what's there to live for at this point? So they have a battle, and right when Batman's about to escape, Gordon's standing there on the roof with his gun on him, and he's like, I finally got you. And then Bane just like, yes, and it's going to be slow. And then, you know, he's about to get Batman to kill him, and Gordon shoots at his feet and is like, no, I want to take him to Arkham so he could live the rest of his days rotting amongst the creatures he created. And Bane's like, that's poetic, but I'm going to kill him. And Gordon's like, no, and so Bane just like basically flicks him, and he goes flying, and is like, almost falls off the building, but he's hanging by like the edge of it. And Bane looks at him and smiles and says, give Barbara a kiss for me. Just savage. And then it's like kicking his hand. He's about to kick the other hand, so he falls, but Batman flings him backwards into the bat signal. He cuts one of his tubes and sticks it on the electric part, so he was getting shocked, and basically knocked him out. And Batman goes to reach for Gordon's hand, and he's like, come on, like, for Barbara. Like, even though Gordon didn't want to take his hand at first, he does. But right then we see Bane gets up long enough to throw the bat signal at both of them, and they both start falling off the building, about to die. And then you hear Barbara Gordon's voice saying, no, no. And then we see that she wakes up from a dream where she's in the Batcave, and the whole time she was knocked out because they actually did fight Scarecrow, and she got fear toxin in her blood. So the whole thing was a dream, a fear toxin dream brought about by Scarecrow. So, man, I remember after, I was like, okay, whew. Because I didn't know where they were going to go from there, if that was continuity, because that whole episode was crazy, but it was done tastefully. And I don't think the dream was a cop-out, because that would actually, I feel like that would happen in a Scarecrow dream, like after being hit with fear toxin. And we love the dream sequences in like the Arkham line and in the earlier episodes, so we basically got a whole episode of a fear toxin hallucination, and it was awesome. So a lot of fans cite this as their favorite episode ever, like from start to finish, just a great, perfect episode. I would put it as the most exciting and thrilling episode with the best twist. I don't know if I would put it as my number one overall. I still put Clayface 1 and 2 in those spots. So, but I still put this episode in my top 5 easily. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. I'm going to be doing a Gotham Season 4 Episode 4 review next. So stay tuned.